Welcome to Skill 6.1. In this skill, we will practice how to multiply a decimal number by a whole number. Let's do some boxing to really make sure we know what this skill is having us do. We're going to be multiplying, which is a skill you already have, but for this one, I'm going to multiply a decimal number, and I'm going to multiply it by a whole number. So let's start off by asking ourselves, when would I even use this skill? What is this skill going to help me do? So here I have this example. It says grapes cost $5.99 a pound, and you want to buy 3 pounds. And then we can do the math. $5.99 times 3 is $17.97. So it would cost $17.97 for all 3 pounds. I could think of it like this. If I know that 1 pound of grapes, there's going to be like my bag with grapes in it. If that costs $5.99 for one, I want to know how much it would cost if I had 3 containers of grapes. And they each cost $5.99. How much would it be all together? So we can use our $5.99 times 3. Another example of when I would need to multiply a decimal by a whole number is in this scenario over here. Here I have Mark is driving 45 miles an hour and he traveled for 2.6 hours. So 45 times 2.6 is 117. Mark drove for 117 miles. I can think of it like, well, in 1 hour, Mark drove for 45 miles an hour. So in 1 hour, he went 45 miles. And then in another hour, he would have gone another 45 miles. And then this last one is hard to think about, but if I have 2.6 hours, this one's going to be shorter. It's only going to be 0.6 hours. So all together, it was 2.6 hours that he was driving for. All together, when I do the multiplication, I can see he drove for 117 miles. So if I do some backwards math, I can say 45 and 45 is 90. And now I've got 117. If I take away 90, that's 27. So he went 27 miles in that 0.6 of an hour. So if I know he went 45 miles in 1 hour, I can figure out how far he went in 2.6 hours. So these are times when I would need to use this skill. So now let's talk about what's happening when we do this skill. I like to model it. So there's 2 different ways we're going to model it. Oops, let me fix that. One of the ways we're going to model it is with our decimal grids. We've used those in the past to help us draw out our decimal understandings. And then we're also going to really think about the numbers that we're working with and what they mean. So let's take a look up here. I have 2 and 47 hundredths times 3. So if I break down that 2 and 47 hundredths, I've got 2 ones, 4 tenths, and 7 hundredths. So now we're going to take some time and really draw all of this out. So I know I've got 2 ones, and to each of these numbers, I want to multiply it by 3. So I want to say 2 ones times 3. So to do that, I'm going to get my drawing, and while I'm doing this, I'd like to invite you to get 3 different colors. I'm going to just use red, green, and blue because they're colors that I have easy access to. So go ahead and grab your red, green, and blue crayons. Let's try this out. So first I have 2 ones. So I'm going to color in 1 whole number here. 1. You're probably faster at coloring in than I am. 1, 2. That's the 2 in 2 and 47 hundredths. All right, so there's my 2. But I want to multiply that by 3, so I need to do that 3 times. So there's 2. Let me get a new color. I'm going to get my green. And then I'm going to do that again. 1. 2. Okay, now I've done 2 1s 1 time, 2 times. I need to do it 1 more time. Let me get my 3rd color. Here I go. And 3. So now I did 2 1s times 3. If I put that together, I can quickly see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 1s filled in. So 2 1s times 3 equals 6 1s. Let's move on to the next piece of this number. Now I have 4/10, and I want to multiply that times 3. So I'm going to grab my 3 colors again. I'll start with red. All right, and I want 4/10. So I'm going to color in 1, 2, 3, 4/10. There we go. So there's 4/10. But I need to do it 3 times. So there's 4/10. Get my green. And 4 more tenths. Just keep on going in that same grid. So there's 4/10 once, 4/10 twice, and now I need to do it again. I'll get my blue. And 4 more tenths. Now it's going to overlap. I can put 1, 2 right here. And then I'll do the other 2 right here. That's 4 altogether. There we go. So now I just did 4/10 times 3. And if I count all my tenths, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Well, that makes sense. 4/10 times 3 is 12/10, which makes sense because 4 times 3 is 12. All right, so then my last piece are these 7/100ths. So I am going to multiply, my 7/100ths times 3. And I'm predicting, since I have 7 times 3, that I'm going to get 21. And since I'm working with hundredths, it should be hundredths. Let's see if we're right. All right, so we're going to do 7/100ths that are red. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we'll do 7/100ths, that are green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then 7/100ths that are blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then if I get my pen back and I count them all, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Perfect, I was right. 21 hundredths, just like I predicted. So this model is showing what happens when I take a decimal number, like 2 and 47 hundredths, and I multiply it by 3. I did 3 sets of 2 ones, 3 sets of 4 tenths, and 3 sets of 7 hundredths. Now I can put it all together. I've got my I'm going to set up my place value line. All right, so I've got 6 in the ones, 12 in the tenths. Well, I can't put 12 in the tenths. I'll have to leave the 2. Oh, it doesn't want to erase. Let me fix that real quick. I'll just write over it. I can leave the 2, but the 1 has to come up here. So really I have 1 whole and 2 tenths. So it's my 6 ones, my 12 tenths, and my 21 hundredths. Well, I can't write 21 in the hundredths place. They won't allow that. So I will leave the 1, and the 2 gets bumped up. So that gives me a 1 altogether in the hundredths place, a 4 altogether in the tenths place, and a 7 altogether in the ones place. And if you think about it, that totally makes sense. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 whole numbers filled in. I have 4 tenths filled in, and here is my 1 in the hundredths place. So 2 and 47 hundredths times 3 gives me 7 and 41 hundredths. When I model it, I can see what's happening. All right. With that, I'm going to go ahead and pause this video. Make sure your notes match mine, and then you can head on over to Skill 6.1, Multiply a Decimal by a Whole Number, page 2.